one of the iconic, actresses of the 70s. And this happens to be a play that is written in the background of World War II. So who is Arthur Miller, and why do you think he had come up with such an idea writing about a play that is known as All My Sons? So we're going to look at the significance of the title. In the image you can already see that it's almost like, it appears it's a suicidal attempt. So yes, there is theme of death, which is quite prominent, but at the same time, why do we think that All My Sons had been written by Arthur Miller? Arthur Miller, one thing that we need to know about him, when this is one of the posters that was launched while his drama was being theatrically presented. um, he was basically an American playwright and essayist in the 20th century American theater. And among his most popular plays are All My Sons, number one, that you're looking at the screen. Number two, we have Death of a Salesman. Then the third one, which really almost broke the record, and it was called The Crucible. Now, all of these screenplays that he had been writing, either for a movie version or let's say for a drama, or let's say theatrical performances, they were encompassing, entailing one idea: the complexity of um, an American identity, the complexity of your individual struggle to sustain your life in a very competitive society. Because in the background of World War II, what was happening right after that, there was a Great Depression. And you cannot study this play without looking at the socio-economic background. With every poem, with every drama, with every writing, we need to have socio-economic background. What makes Arthur Miller so important, and in terms of contributing to American playwriting scripts for the 20th century, it's because that he has not been labeled only prize winning author, but it's something that he has been working towards educating the common man about their ways to make a responsibility, make some responsible action towards society. You cannot work alone as in a person unless and until you're contributing something to the society. So over here, this man that you're looking at, this is the main protagonist, a tragic hero. His name is Joe Keller. I'm going to show you how many characters are there, and you are looking at what are you looking at? What is this? Is this a symbol of tree? Yes. You can see this, a jet plane, and the whole concept of this plane is that his elder son, who died in World War II, but due to the let's say the manipulative manufacturing of the cylinders which were used in the engines, and he happens to be a businessman, so he considers himself guilty. So there is theme of guilty. The tree symbolizes America, all right? And this tree is planted in the backyard of Joe Keller. So you're going to look at different dimensions. Why is this tree planted in Joe Keller's house? Why? Because this is resonating the memory of his lost son, that was Larry who died. So in the memory of him, they planted a tree as if he is going to return, as if he's going to grow. Their memory is never going to be diminished in that way. We're looking at how to study a play, and this is part one. We need to follow this SQ-RRR method. This is important. We can now, there are two more students who have joined us. Yes, we have Laiba. Okay, Laiba Vita, we have started with our All My Sons. This is the first introductory class to All My Sons. This is written by Arthur Miller. So how are you going to study a play? By following such a method, which is called, S stands for survey, research, question, R, read, recite. I will just explain what do I mean by this, and then R, that is review or analyze. My question is, before you study a play, before you open the first act, you have to conduct a survey, a kind of a research. Can any one of you tell me? My question is, and I'm repeating, can any one of you tell me what do I mean by before reading a text, I need to have a survey? What kind of a research that I need to do? What kind of a research that I need to do? About the plot? Is it about the author? Is it about the time period? It's about all of the three ideas. So you need to look at the three basic ways in which you can talk about. So we have over here survey and then research question. Therefore, you will have questions. Why did he write this? Why such a character has been created? Then you will read the text, then you will reread the text, because before preparing for the exams and in duration of that, you need to recite some of the quotations. You will need to analyze it because you're studying a play that requires you to understand some of the most important elements in terms of themes, in terms of characters. So you're looking at different dimensions in a play. Over here, you have any question, please do ask me. We have survey, we have question, we have read. If you're following these 5 steps to understanding the drama, you will be able to understand. This section will give you the maximum marks. Why? Because any drama, before you start reading the background to it, let's have a look at the 6 elements. Let's have a quick look so that everyone would be able to identify and understand also that what are the 6 basic elements of drama. Any clue, any idea? I'll give you a hint before I share this part of the screen. Can anyone let me know? You must have been writing in O levels a story, right? You must have been composing stories. So what do you think, what were the basic elements in your story writing? Why there was a need to um, look at certain structure outline of a story. So in this case, when we are talking about, all right, so you need to write down elements of a drama. And in this case that we are doing paper 1, and this is drama section. So we're looking at some of the ideas together. What makes a drama? Who is going to tell me? A drama has what? Around which the whole
Plot.
story. Thank you. Who said that?
Mahanur.
Very good. We have a plot frame. We have a plot. Now, in the plot, what we are going to look at, we are going to pay attention to one of this contributor. His name is Freytag. Freytag's pyramid. What is this Freytag's pyramid? Safat, Laiba, Manur, I would request you to please keep on writing. So we have a plot frame, one of the basic elements in your drama. Then you have Freytag's pyramid. What is this Freytag's pyramid? It's almost like this, in which you have, in this particular play, you have 3 acts: Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. This is almost a screenplay. This is a script of a drama. Can anyone tell me, before I execute how we're looking at the pyramid, Freytag's pyramid, the plot frame, can anyone tell me what is the difference between a novel and a drama? You must be, I mean, you must have read novels, right? So what could be the basic difference between a drama, in terms of plot, in terms of, let's say, structure? Hmm. Any clue, any idea? The difference between drama and novel. All right, we have a drama has More dialogues? Yes, yes, you're right. Um, but you're right, but it's an incomplete answer. But thank you for answering. I need some more answers, please. One of the students will join us again. So we're looking at Aliza Anwar, Laiba Mahnur Safat. All right, so we have one more. Okay. We are asking this question, Aliza, if you can tell us that elements of a drama, right? In paper one, we are looking at All My Sons, a play. I haven't yet introduced the plot frame, but I'm talking about how the structure is going to take place. So, can anyone tell me what is the difference between um, your novel? What should I be looking at in terms of novel? All right. Manu says this is more dramatic, maybe. Drama is more dramatic. No, dramatic intensity is more or less both the same in the drama as well as the novel. We're looking at, Peter, please pay attention over here. We're looking at the plot frame, and I want you to understand how is it different in drama. It follows the basic Freytag's pyramid structure, which happens to be used even in the novel section also. So how we are going to understand? You may write down a side note over here. As simple as that, novel has chapters to it, all right? Whereas drama has acts and scenes to it. This is the basic difference between prose, we also called novel. We also call novel prose also, and drama is our play also. So, being a literature student, you should be able to notice the difference in between both of these concepts. This is going to be really, really important. So, I think we have understood this part and we have jotted down the points also. I hope you're writing along with me. Okay, so now we are looking at the Freytag's pyramid. So when we are saying Freytag's pyramid, it's very basic. It's common that we have an exposition. You know, the characters would ultimately show some kind of tension and complexity, and then the rising action will take me towards some sort of a problem. I need to have a problem. So the problem is going to be either my guilt or nostalgia or some sort of um, intensity of a situation that I need to discuss. Then the peak is going to be the height of tension. So let me just quickly erase these parts. Then I will tell you how they have been incorporated. So this is H, okay? Height of tension, right? So we have the ultimate point. And then you have basically, you need to have a dilemma for the character. You don't need to forget. Then you have resolution. When the characters are resolving themselves, they will always make up a point, and that has to do with some linking, you know, a kind of a connection with the previous scenes. So you can't say that suddenly it happened. You're not writing a drama, but you're studying a drama, but you're looking at the professional ways. And then you have a denouement. What do we mean by denouement? Um, with every story, this is they call Freytag's pyramid. Denouement is basically another word for ending, and then you tend to like complete this whole part, and this is called the middle of your drama. It could be evenly used in your prose section as well. Now, what is so important for you to understand here, Bita, is to realize that this is going to be my act one till here, this section, act one. And then my act two is going to be the dilemma. How do I need to confront my personal trouble, my internal conflict with the external conflict? There must be something out physically present as a tension for me, but I have my own insecurities whether I would be able to confront it or not. So you see, the character is going to be asking him or herself how to tackle the problem. Should I take this path? Should I do this? Some kind of division, a conflict, an issue that will arise, but it will be at its height. Then you have obviously Act 3, which will lead you towards some sort of happy, sad, or tragic ending. So you have this basic structure. Now, what you need to look at the idea that in All My Sons, we have a linear structure. I will tell you what do I mean by linear structure. So this is basically the outline that in a manner that we need to look at. Let's get back to the slides, please. Yes, so this is the note, and I would request Alize. Do we have Alize? Yes, Beta. Can you please
Miss,
read the slide for us? Can you please read the slide? Note on the text.
note of the text. Post-World War II drama 1947, which depicts a tragic conflict between family loyalties and social responsibilities. Joe Keller is deeply devoted to his wife, Kate, and his two sons, Larry and Chris. He is willing to make any sacrifice for them as he believes that his family is far greater American society, than
Hmm.
even American society. Miller's appeal to our collective conscience.
Now, conscience or conscience is your inner self. This is your inner soul. So this is about when you're doing something wrong, your inner self always tells you that it's a wrong direction. We have to return. We have to be more responsible. Now, there is a problem. You need to understand the problem that has been introduced on the text. So this is post World War II drama 1947, depicting a tragic conflict between family loyalties. One can't be so much loyal to the family in the most selfish way and forget about the social responsibility. How? You must see things around yourself, how people become corrupt for their own family luxury, for themselves. They're having ventures, they're going to different, trips, and they have a lot of money, abundance of money. But at the end of the day, they have not been honest with their country. They have not been honest with, they have been involved into some scandals, controversies, all of that, putting their social reputation at stake. Is this ethical? You tell me, as a literature student, is this ethical? One needs to be making money for the selfish need that you forget about your own surrounding, your own society, your responsibility as a man, as a citizen towards your, um, towards your people. So, do you think this is right? This is ethical? Such is a question that we are going to raise when we are studying All My Sons. Based on a true story, definitely All My Sons. I am repeating again. Um, yes, beta. Um, yeah, Manur says it's not ethical at all because between the two is very, balance between the two is very important. You're absolutely right, Manur. You wrote in the chat box telling us that you can serve your family but not ruining or damaging someone else's family who is not part of your society, who is not part of your family even. Okay, Mahanur, over to you, beta. Based on a true story, can you please quickly read?
Based on a true story. All My Sons is based upon a true story, which Miller's mother-in-law pointed out in Ohio newspaper. The news story described how in 1941 to 1943, the Wright Aeronautical Corporation based in Ohio had conspired with Army inspection officers to approve defective aircraft engines destined for military use.
Hmm. So this is important to understand that she was reading a newspaper and they were at the breakfast table, and Miller saw this news flashing somewhere, catching up his attention, and he was like, why not address such an issue in my play? Why not create an awareness for people to live an American dream, but not at the cost of losing themselves, their dignity, their credibility? And this is actually the main idea, that the right aeronautical corporation, this was the company that they're talking about, based in Ohio, had conspired. There was a conspiracy with army inspection officers to approve, that they have been able to approve defective aircraft engines destined for military use. So ultimately, whoever is going for World War II, you know, flying in a fighter jet plane, they're going to land as in crashing, and it will be a murder. This is not an accident. You're murdering people, you're killing people by manufacturing these cylinders, faulty or defective engine parts. So this is the main inspiration behind All My Sons. Now this part I added deliberately. Why? Because I wanted to show you, when you are analyzing a text, when you will be reading the book, the play, you need to realize that how we are going to look at certain theme. So you will have the theme of guilt, right? One of his sons committed suicide. Joe Keller is the main tragic hero, the tragic protagonist. You must be wondering, Ms. Nadia, why are you calling such a person a tragic hero? He is the one who actually manipulated the business, and he was not honest with other people around him. Why do we call him a tragic hero? Any idea? A person who makes a mistake, and you tend to call him a tragic hero. Why? Why would you call him a tragic hero? A noble character, a person who is higher in stature, like Joe Keller. He's the head of the family. He's a perfect husband. He appears to be a very successful businessman. And then he has lost his elder brother in war. Um, do you think that there is some kind of connection in between his tragic element, or you think, no, why we should call him an enemy? Why are we calling him a protagonist? Why are we calling him a hero? Is this question making you think? Please turn on your mic, share your ideas, even if they are incomplete ideas. Let's just discuss about the importance of tragic hero. Yes. It says maybe his death proves something. Yes, indeed, Aliza. Aliza, you're very smart girl. Yes. How do you know he's going to be dead? We'll find out. We'll find out. I'll explore more, by the way. I just need to tell you a few things over here. We call him a tragic hero because there is an idea of awakening. Okay? One of his sons committed suicide because he couldn't handle the guilt. Larry, his eldest son, spoilers alert, I am telling you a bit of the plot frame. He couldn't handle the guilt that his father had been involved into such monopoly of the business and making money. So the lust of money, the lust of power. Another is a living dead because of guilt. So Manu, can I request you to please read the slide?
One of the sons committed suicide because he couldn't handle the guilt. Another is a living dead because of the guilt. They feel the guilt that the father does not. Larry considered his family, his sons, prison or kill yourself. Family illusions shattered. Reality destroyed the falsehood of the family. Everything was an illusion until Anne came and brought reality.
Thank you for reading. We have another is a living dead. It's better to kill yourself. The concept of the drama says there is no point in living if you're living with such a guilt, because he happened to love his father so much and he could not understand why would his father, be involved into murdering so many of the people. So we are not given exact explicit details that how his son has committed suicide, but yes, he has committed. So you're raising some kind of moral and ethical questions as how, uh, you know this was justified. Is it an escape, or is it a brave thing to do? At the end of the presentation, my debate or the argument is, it's going to be the same, that would you consider people who commit suicide be brave or be coward? They're taking a flight from the troubles of life, or they are fighting within themselves. Is it a brave thing to do? Keep thinking. I'm raising a lot of questions in this way. You need to jot down these bullet points also. So we've got over here another is living, that they feel the guilt that the father does not feel. That the father, Joe Keller, awakening isn't happening. The awakening of your inner self, of the conscience that you've done something wrong. Then you have Larry considered his family, his sons, only his family and son. Whereas Arthur Miller is saying, take America as your family. Your society, your country, your nation is your family. This is your homeland. Prison or kill yourself. Prison in your guilt, become a slave to your memories, become a slave to your guilt, or absolutely kill yourself. So these are the that's what I was talking about, the dilemma. That's what I was talking about, the conflict. So why is it important to talk about mental complexities? Write down another question. Why is it important to talk about mental complexities? Why? Why are we talking about such issues? You see, literature prepares you for greater opportunities in life, to grow as a person, to grow yourself. It develops your critical thinking skills for sure, but at the same time, it allows you to think deeper. Okay, so World War II, this was a time of flux, fakery, when lies masquerade, mask as truth. We find reassurance in Miller's moral rigor. He talks about morality. You must have read stories or novels or books that talk about, okay, the bad guy punished by the end of the day. Oh, that's the moral. Good will win over evil. That's the moral. Here he talks about the bad guy, let's say the bad intention. Will it be conquered by the victorious idea of humanity, serving people, having more responsibility towards others? Okay, so I would request now Laiba. Laiba, please read this second bullet point, Beta. Miller is also admired.
Miller is also admired for his theatrical carpentry, although in this 1947 work you can occasionally see the joints. The play focuses on Joe Keller, a thriving businessman who escaped a wartime charge of issuing defective cylinder heads to combat planes by letting his partner take the rap. Exonerated but hardly guilt free, Joe is suddenly confronted by the consequences of his actions. His wife, Kate, is obstinately convinced that their son, Larry, missing in action, is still alive. And when their other son, Chris, decides to marry Larry's fiancée, Joe and Kate realize that the pretenses by which they have lived are destined to be exposed.
Thank you for reading. Very good. Now, there are a few things that I need to explain you. As a literature student, they expect us to have some comprehensive, quality, good language, You need to write comprehensive, but that does not mean that you need to use difficult vocabulary. However, I have used over here exonerated, confronted, obstinately, yes, pretenses. There are some sort of like vocabulary words which have been used. So the best part about literature is you're writing from your own as in interpretations, but you can learn some of the paragraphs. And why? Because in 1 hour, I repeat, in 1 hour, I'm supposed to be writing my one answer to the question. So I need to learn some of the quality paragraphs which can be embedded into my answer, and this will save time, right? So what is happening, I already discussed about Joe Keller, the father of the family, and who escaped a wartime charge because people wanted to arrest him. However, you know um, his friend, and I will introduce you to his friend, the business partner, who just completely got him guilt free. And Joe is suddenly confronted by the consequences of his actions, what he had been doing previously. For example, his wife, Kate Keller, she does not accept the death of her elder son, Larry. Death of our loved ones, your loved ones, my loved ones, anyone. You cannot even think in your wildest of imaginations. Death cannot be an easy thing to be accepted or digested. This idea is resonating. It's very much reflected by the character of Kate, and I like her character in a way that she adds more dramatic tension to the whole plot. How? We'll just explore more. Um, so you have understood they have um, two sons. The elder one is Larry, who is dead, and we know that he committed suicide. But to all the characters, they're unaware. They don't know. They have no clue. They just think that he is. I mean, everyone knows that he has been killed in war or martyred in war. But Kate believes that no, he will return one day. He will come. My son is not dead. My son is alive. He's somewhere out there. So then how do we know he committed suicide? Because of fiance, his fiance. And you'll get to know what kind of a character is she. Although the play grips, it has flaws too. It is very grip reading, but it has flaws. It seems unlikely that the fiance Anne waited for almost 3 years after his suicide to reveal that you know he's absolutely dead and he's never going to return. So before his suicide, Larry wrote a letter to his fiance and explaining why is he doing that. But she never reveals it to anyone because she loves the family so much. She just wants them to live in that illusion, into that fantasy that yes, he must be alive, someday he's going to return. So Anne is right over here. Is Anne right? Anne is right, hiding the death of her own fiance and hiding this news that she has actually a letter received by Larry, received by Anne. This is another question that we're looking at. Manur, over to you. Please read the second, third, and fourth point. What gives the play its momentum, the pace, the
What gives
quick?
the play its momentum is the force of Miller's message. In the part of the play, it is an assault on the twin American gods of family and profit. Joe's last line of defense is, I'm in business. But this is not simply a play about war profiteering.
Then
As
how?
American,
Yeah, sorry, come again. Can you repeat the last line? I am in business.
I'm in business, but this is not simply a play about war profiteering.
So the concept that we are trying to say that people should not take advantage of such an inhumane act when people are already dying, and then you're making money over the dead bodies. You're earning money over the killings of millions and millions of people. This is the concept that where Joe Keller says, I'm in business that asks me to become controversial, that asks me to become manipulative, that asks me to scandalize some of the things. Hypocrisy, corruption is not allowed when you're in business. To that, Arthur Miller answer, this is not simply a play about war profiteering, that how people take advantage of such inhumane acts also. As the American critic, there is a critic who's and he has contributed to the work of literature, and he has, what do I mean by critic is a person who has been researching upon certain text, upon certain books. And for example, this is an idea which is called Harold Clurman. His name is Harold Clurman, and he pointed out Miller's real theme is the way a distorted individualism, a person whose individuality has been distorted, damaged, and it replaces the idea of responsibility to the community. In that sense, it also speaks to audiences today. So it is saying it has a universal theme: corruption, hypocrisy, manipulation, double standard, ways to deal with certain issues. They're still taking place in our society. So, was it written in 1947 or after that? Whatsoever. People of today, modern, what do we call this text? Modern realism. What do we call this play? Modern realism. Yes, this play is known as modern realism. So you can write over here. Miller's morality is accompanied by psychological insights that the depiction of main character largely captures. Psychological insights. Any one drama, beta, it's gonna give you an insight how people think and how they behave. You must have seen, have you ever seen a theatrical drama, like on a TV show, any theatrical performances? At your school, even, any play, any drama? Yes, Laiba, Aliza, Mahanur, any drama. Maybe not your previous, but way before that. Anyone. Hmm, no, not exactly. Safat, do we have you as well?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so we do have plays, but not exactly like a theatrical performances. So I am going to share a link with you about this movie, about this play, so that you can watch it. We're gonna play some of the clips also that I can give you an idea how this begins. It's a beautiful, beautiful play which talks about your discovery of the inner self. You cannot be selfish towards you cannot act selfishly for your family. You need to think about others. You need to have a sense of empathy. So it talks about human emotions deeply connected. And this is what we are. Emotions, what they make us. At the end of the day, I am what is literature. This is economics, this is politics, this is sociology, this is, psychology, this is history, this is everything. I am learning a lot about correcting my ways of spending life. Perhaps I will be given an opportunity to act in any of the circumstances, and literary text may help me to understand better how people may behave, how may I act. Okay, this is a character map, and these are the three-dimensional character. I'm calling this character Joe Keller the three-dimensional character. He's congenial, he's corrupt, he's a businessman. He shifts blame to partner. He's the one who did everything, but then he accused his own partner. You see this arrow? They're the spouses to each other. Kate Keller, she's manipulative, yes, very observant, emotional mother figure. And I have a picture, if I can show you. Yes, this is Kate Keller. You see, she's been wearing this cardigan, and this is the clip that I will be playing also. This is a moment. What do you see kind of a reaction on her face? Can you name this emotion? What kind of a cat? What kind of emotion does she exhibit over here? Make a guess. Come on. Give me one. Turn on your mic. Use your mic. Come on. Yes, Vita. Use your mic. We have what kind of an emotion that she exhibits? Is it shock? Is it surprise? Is it something that she's seeking attention? But you see her eyes. They almost like when you pay attention to her character, you would realize that a lot of critics say that she's the one who manipulates the circumstances in the play. She combined nervy anxiety. It says she's anxious all the time. She has stress, suggested by the way she encases herself. I stopped here. So Mahnur was reading. Please read about Kate Keller from the beginning.
The picture is in the way of the line.
Is it clear? Is it?
No, miss, I can only read she combine and then the next line nervy anxiety.
Now you can read it. I think the size is a bit low. Can anyone also give me the feedback? Is the screen clear? Yes, Laiba beta. Aliza, can you please give the feedback? Are you able to look at the whole screen? Okay, let me reshare the slide so that it's even clear.
Miss, the slide is clear. The picture is in the way of the line. It's
Okay.
pasted on the line.
No, let me just read it to you so that it's more clear. Let me just. It says she combined nervy anxiety, suggested by the way she encases herself in her cardigan as if it were a protective shield. It has been argued that Kate is the villain of the piece, I mean, the text that she puts in, that she puts the sanctity, the the peacefulness of the home before ethics. So she is a symbol of myopic innocence. Myopic innocence is all about that you're making mistakes, but at the same time, you're acting innocently. She's not actually the villain. She is the one who doesn't accept the death of her son. Whether she's justified or not, once you're going to read the text, you would be able to understand it. But the cardigan, her sweater, is a symbol of a protective shield. She needs some kind of warmth because people it seems that almost she knows that the murderer of all these or this manufacturing of the cylinders is basically because of Joe Keller. But she doesn't want to confront that idea. She doesn't want to confront that issue. This becomes a problem for her because you're living in a world of denial. You're not accepting it. Even acceptance should come to you slowly and gradually, but it's been 3 years and she doesn't accept it. So this is her crisis. Internal conflict versus external conflict. People are telling her he's not going to return, but she says no, he will return. So she's been divided. She's been polared like in two different directions. So we were looking at um, let's go back. Let me take this. Yes. So we were looking at the characters. These are the major themes that you will be looking at. All right. So you have Kate Keller, then you have Chris Keller. Idealistic, moral, naive, young man admits to cowardice. He's too scared to confront his father, his own brother's death. But yes, there are certain things, but he is really really innocent, and whatever his father tells him, he does it. And then he falls in love. with Anne Deaver. Anne happens to be the fiance of the fiance of Larry Keller. So, because Larry is dead now, so there is kind of like an infatuation, or let's say in love, that bonding that sparks between Anne Deaver and Chris Keller. So that is the attraction that they feel. Now, my students in the last part, they kept complaining about Anne Deaver, why she has to do that. She should have been honest. She could have married someone else. But why the younger brother? We'll discuss that about a bit when you will be. Do you think it's fine suitable one, because you need to read the text, only then you can. And then we have Anne Deaver, the brother and sister relationship between. So we have George Deaver, we have Anne Deaver, and they live in their neighbor. They're just the neighbor. And so George Deaver, the brother, wants to take revenge from Joe Keller. So it's again a very tightly structured and a complex plot. She wants to be married in Keller's family, and then the sibling rivalry you can see. George Deaver is never happy. He wants to take revenge from Joe Keller. Then you have the neighbor Sue Baylis. He's very insecure, he's jealous, he's demanding his money hungry wife. Sue Baylis is a woman. She lives in the neighbor. She is not happy with what they have, how successful Joe Keller as a businessman is. And Sue Baylis' husband is Dr. Jim Baylis. He's disappointed physician, would rather do research. So he's not been successful. People who are, because you see, the society was still in the phase of repairing itself from the post World War II consequences. People were not being as successful as they were thinking that their education is going to make them money. For example, like physician means doctor. So he's an unsuccessful professional and he's thinking to do some research. And then Dr. Jim happens to be a very good friend of Chris Keller. So you need to read it carefully and understand the basic concept of the character, how they are connected with each other. So we've got, in short, we've got 6 characters which are in the 3-dimensional manner connected to all Joe Keller. You have any questions over here, please ask me. Do you have questions about Joe Keller? You find him suspicious. What is your first impression about Joe Keller? Any idea? Mahanur, what do you think? What kind of a character is Joe Keller? He's a family man, but he's a corrupt businessman. Any idea? Aliza, Laiba, Safar, Safar, any idea? So far that you have understood, so far that you have understood, Joe Keller appears to be what? Is he a complex character? Do you think I should call him a tragic hero, or should I call him just a tragic character? Hmm. I'm looking at the chat box for some responses. Okay, so maybe okay, let me just go back because I've got, hmm. Safat says he's selfish. Aliza says he's a man too focused on making money, something like that. Yes. He's definitely, maybe he's onto something. He's very suspiciously onto making money, but sacrificing his dignity, corrupt ways, hypocrisy. Yes. So this is the main idea. Now there are certain themes, beta. You need to look at certain themes. The themes are social responsibility. Aliza, would you please read this slide? What themes are we going to explore?
Major themes: social responsibility, labor, industry and occupations, war and the American psyche, human soul or spirit, return of the past, shame and guilt, suicide.
Hmm. Shame and guilt. Do you think that Joe Keller at any point would find himself guilty? Yes or no?
No.
He would not find. Okay.
Maybe towards the end, but
Maybe towards.
from the start, I guess he's not, guilty. But after the death of his son, maybe when he sees his family falling apart, maybe then he's guilty.
Hmm. So you do have some knowledge about the idea that he would find himself guilty. If I need to call Joe Keller, there is the most important theme in the play, which is called the tragedy of a common man. The tragedy of a common man. This was the idea which inspired Arthur Miller, the writer, to talk about the tragedy of common man. You don't need some characters who need to be sitting on the throne like king and queens. Like, no. He talks about that a person who wants to live an American dream that has, a perfect balance of family and business, then he considers that American dream, right? The problem with Joe Keller, why do we Joe Keller, right? So we are looking at Joe Keller's character. Why do we call him a tragic hero? Why do we need to label him as a tragic hero? Because there is an element of delayed awakening. There is awakening, there is realization, but it's delayed awakening. Delayed awakening of one's conscience. That makes him a tragic hero because you have to confront your folly or your follies. That means your errors, that means your mistakes, isn't it? Your errors, your mistakes. And when you do that, then you fight like a hero or you die like a hero. That is the concept that we're looking at. If there had been no awakening with Joe Callis' character, then we could have called him just a simple character, like an ordinary one. But the long-lasting impression upon the reader is such that you will take him home and you will keep thinking, why did he do this? Why? He could have done it before. His profession is a businessman. Okay, this is a comment that I'm reading, so it's mixing up with his personal life. Yes. And he believes that this is the right way that I need to justify. Now, there are two more concepts that I need to deal with, which is called, this was the tragedy of the common man. Then you have, please write it down, okay? Number two, the theory of social contract. What is this concept? It says social contract theory. The theory of social contract says when a person is born in the society, they're not born only as a part of the family, but they are a part of the society. There is a certain contract that happens of a man with the society that has to be fulfilled. And you don't fulfill it, then you're falling outside the social circle. You are to be considered an outcast. You can be taken as a criminal. You can be taken as a person who cannot relate to the well being of the society. The theory of social contract. So, not to be only this concept talks about the responsibility towards towards the society, that you need to, you can even search on the internet and you would realize that the social contract theory has been given by Aristotle, and how things were so complex. Aristotle happens to be the Greek philosopher, and he originated the concept of tragic hero. And if you want to be considered civilized, that means you want to be considered sophisticated, human, it is only on the basis of your responsibility towards the society. Otherwise, you're uncivilized, you're uneducated, you're unsophisticated, because you've been involved into corrupt manners, like corrupt business. So, theory of social contract. Have you jotted points? Yes, beta, Manur, Safat, have you written this down?
Yes, miss.
Okay. Now we are towards the, okay, it's 8:59. We shall end the class over here. It's going to be continued tomorrow. I'm going to finish and look at some of the critics work. Please research, please read at home, try your best to understand the basic idea about All My Sons. Just have an idea, just go through what is All My Sons about. Okay, thank you so much. Take good care of yourselves. Take care.
The office, miss.
Allah Hafiz.